Okay. Day one of the IEM Rio major is done. Hello, hello. I'm gonna try and recap everything that happened today, but oh my, there's just there was just so much craziness that happened right out the gates. So the way that I'm gonna looking at this is that we'll kind of go through all the matches, sort of give my take on them. Um, and for the record, I went 8 out of 16 in my predictions today for who's gonna win. I went 3 out of 8 in round one and 5 out of 8 in round two. Um, but yeah, all in all, just like a crazy day. So I kind of want to just I talk about like all the matches, and then from there we'll like look at tomorrow's matches a little bit. So let's come here onto the matches that happened today. So let's start from the bottom up, which is sort of how we went today. Gamer Legion 16-6 over 9Z. This was a shocking one a little bit because Gamer Legion just looked so insanely strong. We're like I'll talk a little bit more about them. Actually let's just do that right now. So Gamer Legion went 16-6, and then the bigger um they upset Vitality 16-10, which just I think blew everyone's mind. I don't think anyone expected Vitality to lose to GL, especially given the high pressure situation that they were in. But they started out looking pretty strong. 9Z, even with the crowd buff a little bit, just seemed to just not show up. And that is kind of another like storyline that emerged today. So the four home teams, which were Furia, 9Z, because they have one Brazilian player on the team. Um, uh, I said Furia, 9Z, Zero Zero Nation, and Imperial. They all lost round one, and two of them are now 0-2. So the crowd, I definitely placed a lot of emphasis on the crowd buff um, before today started, and I definitely thought like all most of my round one picks were kind of based on the fact that the crowd will play like a big role, and the crowd, by the way, was incredible, right? Like today, people showed up. Like game one, everyone was like shouting. Like just even just watching it out there, like I'm sure like it was much crazier when you were actually in the arena, but even just watching it, there was just like this atmosphere. I almost felt like I was at a football game, um, with like all the chants, the horn, the honks, like the Mexican waves going on. It was freaking incredible. Um, so yeah, but so the crowd showed up, but maybe that was there was some pressure behind the team, sort of just um feeling like they had to perform, otherwise they would be letting like their country down, the crowd down. I mean, I'm sure like a lot of those teams, a lot of teams definitely come under that pressure. So, um, yeah, I don't know. That was kind of where I came to realize that like maybe the crowd buff wasn't as strong. Was game one. So, Gamer Legion 16-6 over 9Z. Um, not too surprising, but definitely expected Nice to show a little bit more, especially because they looked really good in the Americas RMR like last week. Excuse me, like last week or so. Um, then Mouse went 16-6 over Outsiders. I'm really not surprised by this. Um, Mouse have looked really good. Like I talked about that a little bit when I was doing my pickums. As far as I remember, I had them going um 3-1 in my pickums. They currently sit 2-0, so they have a chance to make it tomorrow. But Mouse looked really good today. I had Frozen on my fantasy team for this event, and he's been delivering. But it's not just him. Exertion looked fantastic. And like I think Exertion had like a really really good record in both of their games. Dexter, the surprising thing about Dexter is that Dexter was always like a really good IGL, but like in the beginning, starting days of Mouse, he like really couldn't show that. Um, but like he's been looking really, really good, even though he's been fragging, he's been um just he's been going off recently. So that is it's just fantastic. Um so yeah, that was 16-6, Mao's Outsiders. Bad News Eagles absolutely rolled over 0-0 Nation. That was another kind of just thing where I definitely expected the crowd buff to come in a little more because the crowd was like very, very behind 0-0 Nation on that. Because obviously like with Cold and Taco on there, they the crowd just like was erupting. But Bad News Equals just sit them down. They like it really looked like they couldn't do anything. Um, Definitely expected Zero Nation to perform a little bit more, especially because they did also look decent. I would argue that 9Z looked better than Zero Nation in the Americas RMR. So definitely expected them to perform a little bit more, but did not see a 16-3 coming. But the other storyline that kind of comes out of that is that um, BNE just cruised through today. They went 16-3 on 0-0 Nation and then 16-12, I believe, 16-11 on Big later. And their second game was 11-4. Like Big started off on Dust 2, Big started off 11-2, 11-4 on the CT side, and then they just like never went around. And so BNE just locked everything down. Um, and just overall like really solid. And I think the reason I love the BNE guys so much is that they just have this passion for the game, and they show it out on stage. Like I think someone said on the analyst desk today that BNE is probably the most Brazilian, non-Brazilian team out there because of like just because of the passion they show on stage, and I very much agree with that. That's a very eloquent way to put it. Um, so yeah, really like what those guys bring. There were a lot of things. There were a lot of like tweets about how they're still unsigned and how like TSM should sign them, and I definitely think like they deserve to be signed at this point. At this point, they have shown that they are like a serious contender um, for majors and to make deep runs. Um, and just yeah, just a very good team overall. And I definitely think like someone should sign them. So BNE had a fantastic day. They're now also 2-0. So the 2-0 bracket is Mouse, BNE, Fnatic, and I forget who else. Um, who was it? Oh well, we'll figure it out as we keep going. But next game, OG Greyhound. This game had like the longest tech pause of all time. This game took I think about like an hour and a half, and all of the games today were delayed because of this. I think Dexter's PC had to be replaced 4 times, and apparently it was a bug with one of the like op graphite or something. And if you put a sticker on it and inspect it, you would crash, and you weren't able to join the server. Really surprising bug, but I'm glad that they were able to figure everything out. And like 16-5, really not surprising. OG looked really good today. Um, OG went 16-5 and then 13-16. But they definitely showed some resilience. I think they were down pretty bad on that in that Fnatic matchup. That was their round two. Let's see. They were 8-7 and then okay, well, they weren't down too bad, but there were definitely times where that definitely counted them out, but they came back, and at some point, I think the score was tied around 12-12, but they Fnatic just pulled that through. We'll talk more about Fnatic in a second, but um, the biggest surprise of today, I think by far, was this game, Big versus Furia. Um, and this had to be like heartbreaking for the crowd because Furia were up 15-7, and then Big brought it all the way back to overtime. In when I was talking about my pick'ems yesterday, I definitely counted Big out because of Sin, but and I said like the argument that I made there was that Sin does not have there's no like team gelling in the like pedigree with that doesn't exist, but that just simply did not seem to be the case. It was really good. Like they seemed to be very comfortable once they started like getting on that comeback train. And ended up going 16-9 over, oh sorry, 19-16, excuse me, over Furia, which was just like, it was just kind of heartbreaking to see because the crowd was really, really behind Furia, obviously. Um, but yeah, that was, I think that's where sort of like the energy of the crowd also started going down for all the games after that. They were not as loud, but I mean, obviously there were like Imperial games. Excuse me. There were obviously like Imperial games after that they were just like popping off for. Um, 69 Evil Genius's IHC. The good signs to take away from this game were that EG were down 7-0 on the CT side of Nuke. I mean 0-7 on the CT side of Nuke, and then I think they went 8-7 in the half, lost pistol 8-8, and went to like 15 or like 14-7, 14-8 before they lost another round. So really good signs for EG there, just because of like the mental resilience. Um, Previous EG squads have definitely lacked that. Once they started going down, once they were like not in contention anymore, once they were like fighting really hard for, they had to fight really hard for rounds. But like this team, they really showed that they were in their zone today. Came back and like just made it look easy, honestly. Like in the second half, they made it look easy. So good signs for EG there. IHC also had some good signs. Like some people were the second team, so the second game for IHC was 16-12 against 12-16 against Outsiders. So now they are in the 0-2 bracket. Um, that Outsiders game was scary. Like that Outsiders game like could have gone either way because I think at some point they were up 12-11 against Outsiders, and Fame had to ace to on overpass B site um to keep Outsiders in there. So I definitely thought there was like upset potential. I had the tweet typed out and everything. And I was like, uh-oh, there's upset alert, 13-11. Like IATC is up on Outsiders right now. And but it was just I mean, they just pulled through, man. I know Outsiders. The reason I had Outsiders in my pick'ems going through from this stage in my pick'ems was because they're like one of the most gritty teams out there. And I know, like, I mean, a lot of times it just seems like they shouldn't be in such close matches against a team like IHC, but I mean, it just happens, and but they pull it out. They somehow, someone steps up, someone makes a magical play, and they will just pull through, which is just kind of insane, honestly. Um, so IHC, good, definitely good signs, but now they dropped down to the 0-2 bracket. Um, and this was kind of a shocking match for me because I mean I had Imperial beating Vitality in the first round, especially again because I put a lot of emphasis on the crowd buff yesterday. Um, but they started I think 13-2 down. Let's see actually. Yeah, they started 13-2 down. And but then they had some like really good really good holds, really good strats on the CT side. Looked really good. The crowd was really, really hyped. Fallen had some big moments. He was like opping really well. Everyone did kind of step up around that, but just like wasn't enough. Obviously, like with 13-2, you really don't leave yourself that much room to play with. And that was also the storyline with Imperial's second game, right? Like I think that's a similar scoreline they had on Mirage versus 9Z when they played round two. I think they also started like 13-2 down. Yeah, they started 13-2 down on the T side of Mirage. And they're here. They started 13-2 down on the T side of Inferno. So definitely some like T side work to be done um, for Imperial right now. But yeah, it was tough watching these games because it definitely showed that Imperial had like more to give out there. And I know, but I also believe that like Fallen's teams, they've always had this determination of just like, and with the crowd behind them, I definitely can see them making it done tomorrow. Like now they're like more adjusted to the environment. Definitely like they had the pressure of coming out there, letting their country down, letting all the fans down. So definitely look forward to uh watching Imperial play tomorrow. And the last game in the first round was Cloud9 Fnatic, in which I had Cloud9 winning really comfortably because, especially because it was Inferno, and Inferno is one of Cloud9's best maps. And not that Fnatic's bad on it by any means, but Fnatic today just looked really solid. Like they played really solid CS, played as a team. They had individuals stepping up. Mezzi was really good. Roy was really good. I think I talked about this in my pick'ems yesterday too, that if Roy steps up, like Roy can be a little streaky, but Roy, I mean, clearly showed up today. Nikodas was really solid. And Crims, like I mean, with all the veteran experience that comes with Crims. Um, like that just definitely like makes the pieces. Fasher today also was really good. I think like especially in game two, Fasher definitely stepped up in a big way. So like Fnatic is a really exciting, really exciting team right now. Um, I have them going through, and I definitely don't see a problem with them making it through. But Fnatic, yeah, they had to grind this game out. I think Fnatic had a pretty big lead also. I think they had a 15-10 or something lead, and then they threw it away. So Cloud9 just also clearly showing the grit that they have. Um, these CIS squads, man, they always have just like the determination to be able to come back from literally any lead. They will just chip away at you. Um, but Fnatic held their own, so really happy for them. And so yeah, quite an exciting first round. I think I got only three correct. I had 9Z over Gamer Legion. I had Mouse over Outsiders. I had 00 Nation over Bad News Eagles, which I realized later that that was a mistake because BNE really solid CS. So not counting them out anymore. Um, I had OG over Greyhound. I had Fury over Big, which was just probably the biggest upset of this round. I had EG over IHC. I had Imperial over Vitality, which I think could have gone either way. I think Imperial could have beaten them. It's just unlucky that they had to start off from like a 13-2 deficit first half. And I had Cloud9 over Fnatic, which also props to Fnatic for beating them, honestly. Then round two. Round two was a bloodbath. Um, and especially because both like the home teams, sorry, all four of the home teams drew each other. So we had Imperial versus 9Z, which I mean, I guess it's obvious, who they're cheering for in that situation, but like Fallen's up there. Fallen for FNX are on one team, and like there's only one Brazilian member on the other. So that one was a little more clear cut, but then the other one was 00 Nation versus Furia. Um, and when that game was on, 00 Nation, I think that was the first game, yeah, in the just in the first game in the second round. The crowd was just confused about who to cheer for. The crowd was generally just not loud. And I think everyone expected it to be loud either way because you were either cheering for 00 Nation or you were cheering for Furia. There's always been the storyline about how Brazil um doesn't love cheering for Furia. Like, of course, if like your Furia is playing against a big, right? Then yeah, obviously you will cheer for your home country. But when it's like inter Brazil matches, like with Furia versus 00 Nation, Furia looked really good. Quesarado just went beast mode. He was smurfing on him. I think he ended up with like 32 kills. Um, he was just a man possessed in that game. And he was just like hitting headshots left and right, taking fights he probably shouldn't have taken there. I remember this one fight where he took like um top of connector in Mirage, and there was someone like down the stairs holding with an op, and this man just like stood in the middle of nowhere, just ready to take that duel. Even though he could have just played it very safe. That kind of just speaks to how much confidence, K-Star especially, but how much confidence Furia had. Um, the other people on the team were just like not needed in this game. It was just a very one-sided affair. So good to see that Furia were able to stabilize after going 0-1 after that heartbreaking game against Big. They definitely should have been, well, I can't say they should have been 2-0 today, but because we don't know the matchups, but definitely had the potential to go 2-0 today. But regardless, 1-1, not terrible. I think they're still warming up to the stage. Furia is arguably the team from like the home team that's projected to go for this in this tournament, and like they should, in my mind, Furia should make playoffs. after the Legend stage, like whatever they call it, champion stage, I think. So I think they should make the champion stage. Top eight is where I see Furia. Especially with the crowd being behind him. I think Furia should make it there. So we'll see. Um, but yeah, good game from Furia there. Outsiders, IHC 16-12. I talked about this a little bit, but Outsiders were really on the edge of like dropping the ball on this one. Like this would have been just like a massive upset. But glad they pulled through. Um, I don't know what else to say about this game. This was just like, one of those slow, grindy, typical Outsiders games where they had to just like they had to just work for everything. But they did. They pulled through, and so that's good for them. So Outsiders now 1-1. Um, EG Mouse. Mouse again looked really solid on this one. This one was more of the exertion show, when the first one was more of a frozen show. Exertion just carried. Well, I won't say he carried, but like he really popped out this game. And like everyone else, like kind of surrounding him was just like really playing as a team. So really enjoyed watching them actually. Mouse, I think definitely like at this point, my pick for 3-0, which is exciting for them. That's awesome. And it's really good to see that, um, Mouse has had their fair share of struggles. Everyone was just, dissing on him. There was like controversy when they made the change and brought what's his name? Brought Exertion in, because they replaced NBK, and even though NBK hadn't been on the lineup for long, yeah. But the one big thing, is that I think Mouse Sports at this point is definitely like the prime example for having teams invest in like talent, having like academy teams. Because I mean, Mouse at this point is more than half people from Mouse NXT, right? Just like JDC, their coach Cyclone, Exertion, and Torji. Like they came from Mouse NXT, and Shui, I think his name is Shuhei is I think Scrawny called him Shuhei today. But Shuhei just also on Gamer Legion, just phenomenal team. Right now they're also just popping off, right? So um definitely just like a very good um core from the Mouse NXT team, not just like representing tier one orgs. So fantastic, like really happy for those guys actually. Um, BNE versus Big. BNE, fantastic comeback, on the CT side of us too. For 11-4 to 16-11, 4-11 to 16-11. Just never lost a round, and love the energy. So yeah, that was the other, um, like really cool game. Not much to say about that either. Just that BNE looked to be really solid. I don't know what else to say. And Yeah, I really didn't expect. Right, so the fourth team in the 2-0 bracket is Gamer Legion, which is we'll talk about that in a second. But um, first, let's talk about like 9Z Imperial. This was another one of those like matchups where home crowd, but everyone was like behind Imperial, like the legend of Fallen, the professor. He kind of built the stage, is like kind of the narrative that was going on. But 9Z Imperial was just like it was a good game. It was a fun game, but again, like Imperial started 13-2 down. It was good to see 9Z in the form that they were in the RMR, because they looked really good then, and it's just like really happy to see that, they were kind of like back on that form a little bit. They looked really good. Um, Imperial definitely has had some like really cool rounds. Following up this like dually ace on Mirage B site. Really fun. Like got the crowd really hyped. That was awesome. But overall, like Imperial kind of struggled today, generally on their T side. So definitely need some work on that. Biggest factor for me would be Fur. I think Fur was just not activated today. Struggled I think in both games, and yeah, I think definitely needs some tweaking there about like where he's playing, what kind of roles he's taking. Just a little looked a little dull for today. Um, okay, by far the biggest upset, um, of the stage already. Gamer Legion took down Vitality on Vertigo. I think it was Vertigo, right? Yep, it was Vertigo. But this game was absolutely insane. Gamer Legion just looked like they didn't have a problem ever. I think they ended a half 9-6, and there was I was like, okay, upset alert a little bit, but I think Vitality going on to I think at that point Vitality was going on to T side. They might be able to stabilize, but no, like Legion looked in complete control of this game. Um, and yeah, I was just left a little speechless because um so Shuhei from Mouse NXT just really, really solid in game leading. And Akor, I absolutely love like the revenge arc that Akor has been on at this point because this guy, like, I mean, he was on Mouse NXT. Oh, sorry, he was on Mouse for a while and just like heavily criticized for like his performances. And now he just like drops to Gamer Legion, arguably like a tier two team, and just is now just slaying. Got rid of G2 from the RMR, now 2-0 in prime position to just sort of win a BO3, get to the Legend stage. Very much, very, very much a Cinderella run. But yeah, GL just have a great squad here. Like I think like all the other pieces around Akor and Shuei were also like stepping up. I think IM had a really solid game against Vitality. So that was really good. And then just wrapping up, OG lost 13-16 to Fnatic. Fnatic really had to like grind that one out too. I think they were also tied. I think we talked about this a little bit before. OG looked decent. I think they should still pull through. Like most, unless they have like a really tough run, unless they happen to like encounter like Cloud9 in a 2-2 game or something like that, um, or like a 1-2 game even. I think OG should pull through, but some really interesting matchups tomorrow, and we'll talk about my predictions for those in just a second. Um, and last, oh my God, wait, yeah, sorry, the other biggest upset, and arguably the bigger upset than Gamer Legion Vitality, um, was Greyhound. Took down Cloud9 1917 in overtime. Just yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like Cloud9 just man, I don't know. I had them going 3-0 and now they're 0-2 and on the brink of elimination. So some really tough games for Cloud9 today. There was a tweet. I think there was this thing from ESL where just they just win and look at what Alistair says. Not sure if that came through, but Alistair literally just said like "fuck your pick'ems" after they won, and I mean, good for them. I had them winning one game. I don't think they're gonna win more. I think they're gonna go 1-3. Um, but just glad that like Greyhound were able to show us something. Um, and I think if Cloud9 go out in the challenger stage, I think a change is due. I really do. Um, because a lot of times it just feels like they don't have enough firepower on the team. Like even though like Hobbit stepped up pretty massively today. Like I think he had 20 kills, like 12 oh, it's not 12, sorry. 15, 17 rounds in or something against this Greyhound squad. And like I mean in all honesty they should really have just been farming Greyhound. But they just weren't able to. Like Greyhound just they just grinded it back and yeah. And yeah, I don't know what to say. Um, just they just left me baffled. I'm sure Sponge is really happy. And I know like I am kind of happy too, but I just don't know if like I want to see Cloud9 go out. If they do, it kind of leads to this conversation of like them having a change. But then who do you replace, right? Because Inters, I think, is the first one who takes the blame for a lot because like he arguably has like bad performances most often, but I think that's mostly because he is a support element in the team, and he just like he's actually like a really really good player. And like I mean he had massive impact in both of their games today, and he generally has had like very massive impact. And he doesn't have the flashiest performances. Um, but yeah, Shiro also popped off in a game today. I think he went 33 and 15 or something against the game against Fnatic, even though they lost. Um, so and Nafany is like kind of the one person on on that team who is like, he gets hyped, he shouts a little bit, lets people just, hear what he's thinking. So I don't know. I just do you replace Axile, who was a top five player last year, or do you replace Hobbit? I think my mind goes to Hobbit, because Hobbit used to have like very very good performances, and now it's kind of been lacking, and so I think getting like a firepower upgrade over Hobbit could be a direction, but obviously that's a conversation for later. Like, and, maybe they do even make a change if someone gets even if they make it, like maybe they do make a change after the major. So I don't know, but I don't know what the fix is with Cloud9, because like their their ceiling is seemingly put like infinite, right? Like they should be winning these games. They should be just grinding out best of 30 wins. They should be doing a lot more than they are. So I don't know. That's a tough one. That beats me a little bit. Yeah. So overall, extremely crazy game. Yeah, extremely crazy day. I went 5 out of 8 on my predictions for round two. I had Furia over 0-0 Nation. I had Outsiders over IHC. I had Mouse over EG. I had BNE. I had Imperial over 9Z, so lost that one. I had Vitality over GL. I don't think anyone had GL over Vitality if they were predicting it. I had Fnatic over OG, and I had Cloud9 over Greyhound. So overall, massive, massive upsets today. And yeah, some big names are down there. So with that, let's just, kind of just go into tomorrow's matches, um, and see what's coming up. Okay, these are the matches for tomorrow. So first one is EG versus 9Z. This is a tough one. In a BO1, I don't know. My mind says EG, because on paper they should be able to beat 9Z. But again, like with the crowd buff, 9Z is like much more evenly matched with EG. But I don't know. I'm just not sure who I would pick there. So I'm gonna come back to that. Vitality over Outsiders, clearly like clear favorites for me. Um, yeah, Vitality should not be dropping that, especially in a BO1. Vitality should just be steamrolling Outsiders. Even though, like, despite all their grittiness, despite everything, they should just be steamrolling them tomorrow. OG Furia in a best of one. Again, my mind says Furia, right? Yeah, as solid as OG look, I think Furia just, handled business. They started to warm up. They started to look like themselves in the second game of today. And so I think I'm gonna have to go Furia on this one. Um, Big versus Greyhound, I would have to go Big. Even though, maybe to throw a spanner in the works, I pick Greyhound here. I don't know. Um, yeah, I mean, another storyline about Big that I kind of forgot to mention was that Searson, absolutely phenomenal today. There's always this like thing about Searson where people are like, oh, he's, more comfortable playing from home. He's an onliner, whatever. Did not matter today. He was popping heads. He was going at it. It was fantastic. So given all that, and given that Sin is like, not feeling as uncomfortable as I expected him to be, um, it would have to be Big for me. Um, Best, our first BO3 being the 0-2 bracket is 0-0 Nation versus IHC. Um, I would have to go 0-0 Nation on this one. As much as I like the IHC guys, I don't think I see them I don't think I see them beating 0-0 Nation tomorrow. I think 0-0 Nation have, excuse me. I think 0-0 Nation have pretty good pieces to work with. Cold and Taco definitely look like out of their element today, but maybe haven't played on a stage in a while. Maybe they're now getting more used to it now, more warmed up. Dumao and Lado, I don't even know. Like those two were just good today. Like they were like despite them taking two thrashings in a row, those two were they looked pretty decent. So I will have to give that to 0-0 Nation. Although if IHC just plays like the grindy way like they did against Outsiders today, who knows? Maybe they have a chance. But I'm gonna have to go 0-0 Nation on that one. Mouse Fnatic, our first 2-0 game. Um, hmm, Tough. That's a tough. I will have to go Mouse. I think Mouse just look really, really strong. I know Fnatic's been also looking really, really strong, but like there were moments where like they almost gave up leads. They allowed teams to get back, but Mouse have just been looking clinical. And I don't see them losing tomorrow to Fnatic. I think by far the most show-stopping match tomorrow is going to be Cloud9 versus Imperial. It's a 0-2 game. Um, I think this is where the conversation of the hype man of the team kind of comes in. I think like Nafani is the only person who gets loud on this team. The other four people are just like you can see frustration when it sets in. They're probably they're a little more quiet. So Nafani is the one that's always like shouting, trying to hype them up. But if things start to go against them tomorrow, and the crowd gets behind Imperial, oh my God, I'm scared for Cloud9. But I think my mind still says I have to go Cloud9 on this. It would be a shame. It would be an absolute shame to see Imperial go 0-3. Because I definitely had like big expectations. I had Imperial going through 3-2. But you know, it's still possible. Maybe maybe they prove me wrong tomorrow. But this is gonna be like a heartbreaking match regardless. Um, but and the last game is GL versus BNE. Oh my God, that's literally just an FPL game. Like at any point, if you like, I don't think GL is gonna have a better chance to qualify. I think Bad News Eagles can definitely take some other names, but a best of three for them to qualify 3-0 GL versus BNE. Oh, this is gonna be that's just that's gonna be such a hype game. It's gonna be crazy. But I've been counting out Gamer Legion a lot and a lot more than I should have been. But I think I'm gonna have to go Bad News Eagles, right? The energy that they bring and how solid they've been looking today. But I mean, also to be fair, like GL have also looked really solid today. I don't know. That's definitely a coin flip and big pressure, big moment. Both these teams like qualifying to the legend stage, going 3-0. That's most definitely a coin flip. But I think after today's games, I can't like totally make a decision, but I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go BNE. I'm gonna have to go BNE. Yeah, I don't know. It's wow, that's a tough matchup. Um, and okay, coming back to EG versus 9Z in a best of one. I think I'm gonna have to go 9Z on that one. Um, EG, they started off slow today, both times. They went 0-7 and they went 0-7 in both games. Before they got their first round. If that happens tomorrow against 9Z, the crowd's just gonna be erupting. And I don't know if EG has like the mental fortitude to battle back from that. And they were able to battle back from the IHC deficit, but like they weren't able to do it for Mouse, even though they definitely got close. They made a competitive game, but Yeah, I think with the crowd behind him, 9Z is going to take this much more evenly matched game. So I'm going to have to go 9Z, Vitality, Furia, Big, 0-0 Nation, um, Mouse, Cloud9, and Bad News Eagles. Oh, it's going to be so heartbreaking if Imperial goes out tomorrow. It's gonna be sad, man. Um, but yeah, those are my picks for tomorrow. But I'm really hyped, but also tomorrow's gonna be, oh my, tomorrow's gonna be a tough day, tough games to watch. But we'll see how it goes. Um, yeah, let me know if there's like, other picks that you agree or disagree with. I'm gonna be posting these on my Twitter, and I've been like, I've been trying to tweet constantly. Just, I've been watching all the games. It's been a lot of fun. And maybe at some point I will also, just co-stream, just rewatching the games here. So hopefully we will see. I'll watch with some of you all. But until then, get some sleep if that's the time zone you're in. But yeah, we'll go. Hopefully, we'll have a great major day tomorrow. And that's it for day one. But I'm really hyped for tomorrow. See y'all. Peace.